Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Seattle Garden Party 2021. I have to say, I am sorry that we're not together in Susan Benson's garden, but thank you to all of you who are joining us here tonight. I want to say right off that we want to give a fabulous thank you to all of the folks whose names you've been seeing as they're scrolling through in the beginning of the program, because notwithstanding everybody's Zoom fatigue, we have raised $389,000 and then some for Lambda Legal's work through the great support of all of you here in our Seattle community. And so I want to say a profound thank you to all of you for that support and for the many years, I think approaching 30 already, that many of you have been coming to this event and helping to support Lambda's work all across the country. My name is Jamie Peterson. I'm the chair of the National Leadership Council for Lambda Legal and have been doing that for a few years. And I'm delighted to welcome you here. I'm sorry that I'm not there at the door to say hello. A couple people that I want to mention. We have my seatmate, Representative Frank Chopp, here with us. Thank you, Frank, for being here. And probably our favorite Supreme Court Justice ever, retired Supreme Court Justice Bobby Bridge is with us as well. So thank you for being with us tonight. We have got a really fine program, but before we get started, we want to show you a little video about the work that Lambda Legal has done over the past now 48 years. We're coming up on Lambda 50 in just a couple of years. And so let's go ahead and roll that video.
In 1973, the world was a very different place, but in some ways it was also very much the same. Lambda Legal started as a small group of activists in 1973 with a mission to achieve full recognition of civil rights for lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, transgender people, and everyone living with HIV. The path to civil and human rights for the LGBTQ+ community has been long and winding. Lambda Legal is the oldest and largest national legal organization fighting for equality. Let's take a look back.
The next afternoon, we were taken to a hearing where we were charged with 2106. I was pissed. They picked the wrong person to pull this on.
Vandy Beth Glenn lost her state job when her boss found out she was undergoing a sex change. Well, now a federal judge in Atlanta has ruled in Glenn's favor.
As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Lambda Legal's work is far from over. Wherever the fight is, we are ready and we will be there. Lambda Legal does not charge clients for legal representation or advocacy, and Lambda Legal receives no government funding. We depend on contributions from supporters all around the country, people just like you that care about humanity and equality. We are here, marching with you, next to you, and fighting for you and the entire LGBTQ plus community and everyone living with HIV.
I hope that you all feel a great sense of pride and accomplishment, because it is the contributions that many of you have made over many, many years that have enabled Lambda Legal's lawyers to do that work on behalf of our community all around the country. So a profound thank you to all of you for that support and for your contributions. About 20 years ago, we decided that in addition to talking about Lambda's national work, the folks here in Seattle would like to recognize someone or sometimes a couple of people each year who had made a profound difference in our community, fighting for LGBTQ civil rights and the rights of those living with HIV. And this year, I am delighted to present Lambda's Seattle Leadership Award to Monisha Harrell. Monisha, you probably know, is the longtime board chair of Equal Rights Washington. And in particular, what we wanted to honor and recognize this year is her tireless work over the last few years on the issue of police accountability. As the chair of De-Escalate Washington, the successful campaign for Initiative 940, and then over the last couple of years as chair of the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability. Monisha helped lead and corral a bunch of diverse interests to come to the legislature with a big, aggressive, ambitious agenda of police reform. And as a result of the advocacy efforts that Monisha helped to lead, Washington, I think, did more than any other state in terms of police accountability. And, obviously for our community, there is a deep and long connection to this issue of police violence. In fact, the modern gay rights movement started with the Stonewall riots, and we know and hear the cries of our brothers who are Black and other people of color who have suffered recently and for a long time at the hands of police. So thank you, Monisha. I want you to hold up your award for everybody, and then invite you to say a few words to the group. But congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jamie. This is the beautiful, beautiful award. Just like today was Christmas, I waited, though it was mailed a few days ago, I waited until this morning to open it up so that I could fully appreciate this day. And I want to thank the entire Lambda Legal community, because it means a tremendous amount, particularly from an organization like Lambda Legal, to receive an award like this, a recognition from Lambda Legal, an organization for whom I would have a much lesser existence without. It's a tremendous honor. I want to just say a couple things. Our LGBTQ advances have been won because of our community's abilities to fight on multiple fields, multiple levels. Lambda Legal, certainly in the legal arena, working with just regular old activist types like me, political folks, our artists who illustrate our stories and bring them to life. It's that collaborative field. It's that that community that comes together with so many different gifts and skills that have allowed us to have the advances and to meet the needs of our community. My work, as I know most of your work, is always been motivated by a love for our community and a desire to ensure that we are all safe, healthy, happy, and thriving. We have often had to be our own support system, and we have done that beautifully because of our abilities to organize and because of our abilities to stay together. I look forward to Lambda Legal's 50th anniversary because it shows that despite the fact that we've had a history of people trying to minimize us or make us less than, or just to get us to go away, that we have fought all of that for longevity. And Lambda has been a key part of that longevity. I've had an opportunity to sit next to my heroes and heroines because of this organization. And I look forward to being with you in person next year at the garden party as we can stand shoulder to shoulder and celebrate all that we've been able to do together. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I'm looking at former Speaker Frank Chop. I'm looking at Judge Bridge. And certainly, I just have a tremendous respect and love for the work that Senator Jamie Peterson has been able to bring to the table. To be amongst you is truly always an honor. And I hope that the work that I do allows our next generation, being raised by wonderful people like Pattie and Noelle. I hope that our next generation is able to stand on some of the work that I've been able to do as well. So thank you very much for this award. I will cherish this forever. And I just want you to know that I know that our successes and our advancement is intertwined, and I will continue to work with you and alongside you to make sure that not only is our future bright, but the future of our future is bright. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you again, Monisha, for that fantastic work. All right, well, speaking of our future, we are so lucky to be joined tonight by Currey Cook, who is the director of the Youth and Out-of-Home Care Project and counsel in the National Headquarters Office of Lambda Legal in New York. At Lambda, Currey advocates for LGBTQ youth and youth living with HIV who are in the child welfare system, in the juvenile justice system, and on behalf of youth who are experiencing homelessness. He's worked both at the state and federal level, both in policy advocacy and in litigation, using sort of all the tools that are at our disposal to have the greatest impact that we can to try to help out our queer youth who, as you know, in the homeless population, in the juvenile justice system, in the foster care system, are disproportionately folks who identify as LGBTQ. He has worked on state level protections in Kentucky, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, North Carolina, and is the leader of a state policy coalition for the Every Child Deserves a Family campaign. So with no further ado, we want to welcome Currey, who's going to be telling us a little bit about the work that Lambda is doing on our community's behalf. Currey, take it away.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that introduction, and I'm so sorry I am in my Brooklyn apartment this evening and not in Susan's garden. No, we're all not there, but congratulations, Monisha, on your well-deserved reward. And I just want to say thank you to Justice Bridge and just acknowledge her long history of advocacy on behalf of young people in Washington and across the country, and her leadership and pushing the child welfare system and Washington State as a whole to do better for LGBTQ youth. So as Jamie said, my background is advocating for young people. Before joining Lambda about 8 years ago, I was an attorney for children in foster care and in delinquency cases in Anchorage, Alaska for about 12 years, and then moved and did that here in New York, where I live now. So I've sort of had a perspective of seeing young people in care, representing them directly, and seeing how the systems that are supposed to be about helping them often pile on the harm instead of helping, which shouldn't be happening. And as Jamie mentioned, LGBTQ plus youth are dramatically overrepresented in child welfare and juvenile justice systems and among populations experiencing homelessness. And this isn't just an LGBTQ issue, it's also a really major race equity issue. You know, youth and families of color, Black and brown children and their families are dramatically overrepresented in foster care populations and juvenile justice, and really in the population of beneficiaries who receive all sorts of grant programs from HHS and other agencies because of our history of systemic racism and poverty in this country. So the work that we do on behalf of youth, really is on behalf of LGBTQ youth of color primarily, and also really gets at some of the race equity issues that Jamie has been talking about around police and schools and other things. I wanted to, in my short time with you this evening, there's so much to talk about right now in the youth advocacy world, because unfortunately, I think we've all seen this past year in this past legislative session that trans youth were the targets of a whole lot of hate and a whole lot of attempts to deny them to be who they are. And really, our youth advocacy is kind of all about well-being. I mean, it's not complicated in one sense, because we know that when young people are affirmed and supported in their families and their communities and their schools, that they thrive. And thankfully, we've seen a whole lot of progress and are seeing that so many young people who are facing a lot of challenges still, but are receiving enough support. So they aren't just our future, they're leaders now. And I think you're going to hear from the Pritchards, about one aspect of that, of, being a plaintiff for us. And I'm excited to report that although we saw the state legislatures introduce over 125 bills targeting trans folks, the majority of those being attempts to ban trans youth from participating in sports and ban healthcare, that just the past couple of weeks have seen some really important victories in striking down those as the blatantly unconstitutional laws that they are. One of those is a case that we are involved in West Virginia on behalf of an 11-year-old girl who was just trying to be a cheerleader at her school in West Virginia. And the court granted our client a preliminary injunction. So she is now, as we speak, going to be able to participate in tryouts to be a cheerleader at her school. And the court found that West Virginia's law that purported to prohibit trans girls from participating in girls' sports was unconstitutional, violated her equal protection rights, and also violated Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. So just one victory there, and another in one of the ACLU's cases in Arkansas, striking down Arkansas's attempt to ban gender-affirming healthcare for minors. So while we've seen this onslaught, I think we have some really promising signs from district courts that these laws are not constitutional and harm children. The other area that I wanted to talk about where there's been an assault on children is in the child welfare and the foster care space. Another news item you all may have seen this summer was a big decision by the Supreme Court called Fulton v. City of Philadelphia, where unfortunately the Supreme Court did grant a faith-based child placing agency that had a contract with the City of Philadelphia the ability to turn away same-sex couples and maintain, trying to be foster parents and maintain their contract with the city. Thank goodness the Supreme Court didn't grant a sweeping religious exemption for agencies or anybody receiving government funds to discriminate in the name of religion. They were asked to do that and they didn't. But nevertheless, they did find that an exception in the contract that the city had with Catholic Social Services then meant that the city had to do extra and prove a compelling interest for why they didn't grant Catholic Social Services an exemption, and that the city of Philadelphia didn't meet that need. So while it wasn't a sweeping awful ruling that we could have gotten, it did open up a legal can of worms that we're going to be stuck with for a while, and means that we're really going to have to do our work just to shore up what should be a basic and a given, that the public and especially folks accessing government services can do those regardless of who they are or who they love. On that front, we filed a brief with the Supreme Court, an amicus brief, really highlighting the impact on LGBTQ youth of any law that would allow a government funded provider to turn away people because of who they are or who they love. As I mentioned, LGBTQ plus youth are overrepresented, representing about 30 to 34% of youth in foster care. It's a really whopping overrepresentation. And we know that often they end up in group homes or exiting foster care to homelessness because there aren't sufficient foster homes to have them if they can't safely go home to their families of origin. So we're fighting that on multiple fronts, and one of those is actually challenging laws and policies that permit these contract faith-based agencies to turn away LGBTQ folks and people that don't match their faith. Right now we have a lawsuit in South Carolina on behalf of a married lesbian couple, Eden Rogers and Brandy Welsh, who were turned away by a faith-based agency in Greenville, South Carolina, when they tried to foster. So some of you who are following Fulton may remember that much was made of the fact that Catholic Social Services had never turned anybody away. Well, we know people do get turned away, and we have clients who experience that kind of harm. So no doubt this one is going to make its way up in some way or another. So we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we have had over 20 years of documenting and talking about the harm that LGBT youth and families face as they try to navigate these government systems. So, and we'll continue to do that. Finally, I just wanted to mention one other case involving neighbors of you all, and that's a case facing foster care in Alaska via HHS, which was a case that stopped the attempt by the Trump administration at the tail end of the administration to pull back non-discrimination protections that were put in place by the Obama administration that would have protected all of the beneficiaries in HHS grants programs. And that's over $500 billion worth of services, including the child welfare system. So Facing Foster Care in Alaska is a group of foster youth and alumni of foster care in Anchorage that have been fighting since they formed over 15 years ago and advocating for LGBTQ youth in their care, and also Alaskan Native LGBTQ youth that are overrepresented in the system. So we're excited to say that the Biden administration has agreed to a stay of the effective date, and then hopefully we'll have a new rule coming out, and bad Trump policy that would have allowed discrimination will never actually see the legal light of day. So we just wanted to let all of you know that your support really makes a difference for us. I'm so excited to let you know that we just recently hired an attorney, Shruti Swaminathan, who's joined our team, who's going to be doing advocacy for youth, exclusively expanding our capacity to do all the advocacy for youth in schools, youth in out-of-home care, fight off all these awful bills that we've been doing for years. So we're here to double down on behalf of protecting our young people, because we know that they are leaders now and are going to continue the amazing progress that we've made. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Thanks, Currey. And over to you guys, Pattie and Nolle.
All right, hi everyone. It's great to be here. Because we're not normally professional speakers or anything, we've prepared something so that we kind of stick to the script a little bit. But we're grateful to be included in this program, and we are absolutely thrilled. Monisha Harrell is being honored tonight. I can say without a doubt that her work is affecting lives of Washingtonians for sure. She may not totally remember us, but she sent us to some very challenging folks And we definitely had some interesting conversations, some eyebrow-raising conversations, and but it was fun, and we're very thankful for Monisha. To start off, I'd like to thank Senator Peterson for hosting Lambda Legal, Ellie Hamburger, and everyone here, everybody that's pursuing equality. We're here to share a small portion of our experience raising 3 kids, one of which happens to be transgender, and the struggle for access to equal health care.
So when our son began his transition, I don't think any of us could have imagined how far we would have been stretched, tested, and what we would discover about ourselves and our world. When our son was showing signs of distress, it was difficult to know the questions we needed to ask him and ourselves. Our son has always been pretty happy-go-lucky, so getting at the root was really challenging. Wading into something beyond what we could have imagined has revealed beauty beyond compare and vulnerability to unjust barriers and stigma. The significance of this experience and the joy of our son is shown while living authentically is undeniable. When our son met with a highly reputable gender specialist here in Seattle for the first time, he learned about his options and the whole world just kind of opened up for him. His anxiety decreased. Oops, sorry, there we go. Sorry. His anxiety decreased when he received his first hormone blocker, and top surgery has been vital in continuing his path of authenticity. He's about to start his junior year in high school. He plays sports, he has a job, he's saving up for his first car. He's looking forward to learning to become a firefighter these next couple of years. Because he's been able to transition, we know his chances at contributing to and experiencing the world are limitless. We know without a parental doubt that healthcare, a measure of our humanity, has the ability to transform lives.
While our collective awakening is happening on a personal level, we are also struggling to deal with a world not ready for truth and equality. We have experienced community members and elected officials actively seeking to dehumanize and punish what they deem as different. We feel vulnerable to the whims of power and ignorance which affect our daily lives. We are also discovering differences between organizations' persona of human kindness versus the policies and practices of a very conditional human kindness.
Among the ups and downs of our reality, we started having difficulty securing healthcare for our child over 5 years ago. Our employer provided plan has a discriminatory exclusion, making it a financial sacrifice we had to provide for our son's necessary care. We knew we needed additional support. So through various connections, we are now represented by Ellie Hamburger, Lambda Legal, who filed suit on our behalf to eliminate this exclusion. We won at the motion to dismiss level and the case is proceeding. These players and organizations have donated countless time, energy, and resources to ensure our child and ultimately others have equal access to necessary healthcare. We're eternally grateful for this and hope that being here represents why lawyers and organizations committed to justice deserve support, pursuing greater change. We look forward to furthering the fight for healthcare justice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm really delighted that Lambda Legal has been able to help out as you go on your journey with your son and with your family. Those are the kinds of stories that are repeated all over the country, and hopefully what Pattie and Nolle are fighting for their son is going to clear a path so that a lot of other families here and elsewhere don't have to go through the same thing. And that is at the core of the impact work that Lambda Legal does. Speaking of impact, I want to thank one of our sponsors, Alaska Airlines. Kyle Levine is here with us and is on the National Leadership Council. Alaska has once again donated 2 round-trip tickets anywhere Alaska flies. You can register at lambdalegal.events/SGP. And the winner is going to be randomly drawn. And if you're the lucky one, you will be notified after the event. So thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Alaska Airlines. We are very grateful for your support. And now, the moment you've probably all been waiting for, one of our favorite speakers and our longtime host of the garden party is going to share a few words with us as a thank you to all of you for sticking with us during this difficult last 18 months or so. Susan Benson, please take it away.
Thank you, Jamie, and hello, everybody. No matter how we meet this first Thursday in August, it's a joy to thank you for being here and to honor your ongoing generosity and commitment to Lambda Legal. Every time we gather and celebrate and contemplate, I'm struck by the solidity of Lambda's work. It's not just that it stands on constitutional bedrock, which it does, it's that fighting for equality encompasses the best attributes of being human: fairness, kindness, acceptance, inclusion, love. It's about building a world where each of us is seen and respected for who we truly are. So deepest thanks to Pattie and Nolle Pritchard and their family. I am so moved by your strength and activism, as I'm sure that everyone who had the opportunity to hear you tonight is. Thanks to the remarkable Currey Cook for a lifetime of essential, dedicated, and effective work for at-risk LGBTQ youth. And finally, thanks to you all. Your generosity ensures Lambda has the resources to get the job done. After listening to Currey, Pattie, and Nolle, I'm raising my pledge. And once again, I'm asking you to join me in this. You have already been so generous, but I'm asking you in the name of fairness, kindness, inclusion, and in the name of just doing what's right, if you possibly can, please give a little more. We gather to fix parts of our broken past and defend against a threatened future. We can make this the most effective first Thursday in August we've ever shared, and we can do that right now. So please take a look at the chat. You'll find the text or QR code for donating right there. It couldn't be easier. Once again, thank you so much. Love to you all. Next year in the garden. With that wish, I'm delighted to turn it back to Jamie. Thank you so much. Jamie.
All right, thank you so much, Susan. We really miss you and Eric and are looking forward to seeing your beautiful garden and giving you all hugs next year when we're there again in person. Hey, so as we close out tonight, I just wanted to let folks know that the host committee are going to be sticking around and hosting some breakout rooms. And so we hope that you will stick around and say hello to us. You'll be able, once the closing credits roll, you'll be able to choose at the bottom of the screen if you want to join a breakout room, and hope that you will go into one or more of those and just circle around and say hello. I think one of the most unfortunate things about this pandemic time is the limited ability that we have to see each other, to reconnect. So we're trying to recreate a little bit of that, at least in the meantime. But otherwise, we will hope to see you next year on the first Thursday in August, because Lambda Legal's work is certainly going to have to continue. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for your incredible generosity. I think this is the most, ironically, the most money that we've ever raised. And so we really want to thank you. We really want to thank you for that and for your support of Lambda Legal's work. Have a great night.